Alejandro, welcome to the show, man. Best hair in Bitcoin.
Hey, thanks for having me again. Very happy to be here.
For sure, for sure. So first, for those who haven't caught you before, just a brief intro of yourself, Poolin, kind of what y'all are up to.
Sure. So my name's Alejandro De La Torre. I work at Poolin as vice president. Poolin's a large mining pool. We also have financial instruments for miners. I've been around for a while, and I'm gonna stay here for a long time too. So happy to be here.
There we go, in it for the long haul. And to start, not completely Poolin related, but something that you've kind of done in support of Bitcoin development, really. Trying to kind of help coordinate miners around a Taproot activation, kind of public communication. So taprootactivation.com, can you give kind of an overview of that? And we've had some nice updates since we last talked to you. So kind of how that's progressed and where it sits now.
Sure. So taprootactivation.com is a website that me and Poolin started, that I've been actually pushing forward with more myself than anyone. It's basically gauging the interests of the whole entire mining industry, or the mining pools in particular, on what they feel about the Taproot activation. Taproot is a new upgrade that improves the privacy in Bitcoin, which is a general big thumbs up for everyone in Bitcoin. So in order for a Bitcoin upgrade to occur, we have to get consensus, and one of these parties that need to get into consensus are the mining pools. So taprootactivation.com is just an effort from me and Poolin to find out what the mining pools what they feel, what they think is the right way, if they want to activate Taproot, if they don't, and if they do, through which method. We've gotten very, very good results in the last couple of, well, now it's been a month and a half. Over 90% of the mining pool industry is in favor of Taproot, which is a great thing. Very happy. And now the next step is actually, we're going to be speaking. There's going to be a IRC meeting in between mining pool operators, business operators, developers, and we're going to discuss not only Taproot activation, but also how to activate it, through which BIP. And it's going to happen on the 2nd of February. Anyone can join. You just check out my Twitter. I'll have it all over there. And yeah, so it's looking forward to that.
Awesome. So 91% now. And you said an IRC meeting. What does that mean exactly? Is that the
internet relay chat? Internet relay chat. It's just the oldest. It's basically a chat protocol. That's gotcha. where all the developers hang out. They like to hang out in protocols, it seems.
Cool. So open to the public. This is a very transparent process.
Correct.
And so what's that been like, kind of coordinating this? What's the feedback you've gotten, especially recently, where you've moved from 50% to up over 90% and gotten, every major pool plus obviously a majority of the smaller pools too. Can you speak to the buy-in on this, and has all the feedback been good? Is this something that you think is kind of the way that coordination is going to happen moving forward?
I believe so. Actually, talking about this, I don't know if a lot of people who are listening to this or follow Ethereum, but Ethereum is trying to stop. Some miners are actually trying to stop. Mining pools are trying to stop the new IEEP 559, whatever it is, and they're actually using the same exact method. They have a website, they have mining pools, yes, and one side no, and so they're it's very similar to taprootactivation.com. So I'm actually I was quite surprised to see that, and I'm pretty happy to see that this method seems to be the one that they're using now. It's been overwhelmingly positive, the answers from the mining pools. Everyone has said everyone that has more, a good amount of hash rate has said yes to the activation. Now there is still the hurdle, or the next step is to try to agree on the BIP, right? That's the way to get it activated. There's different BIPs, and there's different time frames involved, and there's small things here and there. So that's the next step. But in terms of Taproot, the upgrade, and if they're in agreement of it or not, there's been an overwhelming agreement, which is, again, very good for Bitcoin.
Yeah, and let's get into that kind of activation choice a little bit too. So this meeting coming up on February 5th, we've at taprootactivation.com, you can see all this, but whether going with BIP9 or BIP8, some of the major pools have kind of indicated on the front end what they're thinking now. How's that conversation going to go on the 5th? Is it going to be people kind of presenting their thoughts and there's going to be some kind of vote on the 5th, or is it just kind of an initial discussion? What's the process for deciding on that activation?
It's the 2nd of February, not the 5th. So basically, it's kind of to finalize the well, I'm actually just reading here from this came out on everyone that's listening can follow this. It's very simple. You have to go to either follow Bitcoin Magazine or me on Twitter, or follow the Bitcoin email list where you'll find all the information there. In any case, I'll be posting about it. But in essence, is we're trying to discuss which BIP we're gonna use, and which basically finalize the activation method is the primary objective. Anyone can join and anyone can talk, so please join.
Yeah, all right, good stuff.
Sure. And
timeline on that could be anywhere, depending on kind of the different time frames that you referred to. We could be looking at a year, 2 years. Kind of, give some color on kind of time frame at this point.
It could be up to 2 years. I'm kind of, it could be even less if everyone comes to an agreement that this should just go through, and it goes through. It can be a couple of months, but of course there's always going to be, I don't know. I mean, I hope it happens like that, right? But I'm sure there's someone going to say, no, we want to wait a little bit longer. In any case, I think I'm leaning towards more like half a year to a year where it will occur, where we'll activate. Yeah.
Cool. And then in kind of this coordination, have any other kind of positive things come out of that? Maybe on the side of just being more coordinated with pools around the world in general. Any other positives outside of coordinating specifically for Taproot?
Well, I mean, the discussion now, right? The discussion between the mining pool industry, which has traditionally been very quiet, secretive, I feel has now with taprootactivation.com has kind of come out of the dark. Now the guys who would never say anything until the last minute are now saying yes, and trying to get onto these IRC chats and whatnot. So I think in general, it's also improved the communication between the different various parties in Bitcoin. So I think that's been a definite positive.
Yeah, between the pools, and then like you mentioned, between the pools and developers, which hasn't been the case as much before.
Yeah, developers and mining pools have always been a little bit far away from each other.
Yeah, you've definitely had some experience with that in the past.
Oh yeah.
And, all right, man, good stuff. And congrats on the adoption and kind of success coordinating this. It's been fun to see.
Thank you.
And second thing that's, I guess, more directly related to Poolin, there have been, I guess, kind of give us an overview of kind of these new Hashrate backed tokens. Poolin has had kind of one of the first ones launched. Just kind of give us an overview there, because it's kind of it's a concept that's been talked about for a while, but it's kind of just been rolled out in the wild in the last couple months here.
Yeah, so actually less. It's been only like 2.5 weeks. In essence, it's a DeFi token. So it's built on Ethereum, and it's called BTC35A. This is from Poolin, and what it is it represents real hash rate, real life hash rate, RL hash rate, 1 terahash. So essentially, once you buy a BTC35A and you stake it through Uniswap or SushiSwap, you earn wrapped Bitcoin. So you're earning the equivalent, if you have one, you're earning the equivalent of 1 terahash in wrapped Bitcoin. So you're mining in essence. So we've tokenized this. I think it's quite revolutionary, because in the past, to get into the mining game, you need to source miners, you need to source a location, source cheap electricity, speak to customers about all these new machines coming in there. It's not a easy game. So there's a lot of steps to get to where you just, the miners actually finally turned on and producing Bitcoin. But now you can just buy this, this token. There's also another token that came out, which represents a lot less hash power. But I
think Binance now you can buy 0.1 terahash.
Binance yeah, correct. Binance is Binance has also released one. But basically these two tokens are now a sure way for anyone to get into mining, and that in essence is extremely revolutionary. So and I think another thing to consider is that there's the Bitcoin mining market is 600 billion. Bitcoin is 600 billion locked up in value there, right? There's 600 billion dollars locked up in value. If these tokens, if we can somehow lock these tokens into DeFi, just 1%, that's $6 billion, right? And transfer it into the DeFi world, we're in essence creating a whole bunch of value for not only adding more value to the mining world and to the Bitcoin world, but also value to the DeFi world. So it is I think a very very interesting development.
Yeah. And can you talk about the I guess the steps that went into launching this? So kind of hash rate backed tokens, kind of derivatives have been talked about for a while. Both have kind of come out in the last year. This one obviously newer. What's kind of the process internal to Poolin of launching this, and kind of the mechanics around actually backing this with y'all's hash rate? Can you talk about that?
Sure. So like as many listeners here know, that like Poolin is mainly a mining pool. So we weren't going to use, we're not going to use the mining power from our clients or that are connected to us. That's not our hash rate, and we have a responsibility towards that hash rate. So what we did is we purchased our own mining farm and we sourced our own miners. We did all the heavy work, all the heavy load. And then we have to, of course, there is a level of trust you have to have with Poolin. However, our trust and our reputation is quite high and quite good. So that I hope solves that issue. But in essence, we bought the mining equipment, we set them up, and then now we got what the equivalent of these miners. We then created tokens for it, so users can buy it. And then the profit, the Bitcoin that's made, is transferred immediately into a wrapped Bitcoin, and it's transferred to the token owner. That's it. It's very straightforward, and there's some mining parameters that are equivalent to each token. So the mining parameters are 35 watts per terahash. Electricity price is set at 0.0583 kilowatts per hour. And in essence, you make about 0.0000486 Bitcoin a day, which, if you just give me a second so I can check how much that is in euro or dollar, that is 13 euro cents a day. So 1 terahash makes you 13 euro cents a day, which represents these tokens. So you're mining with us.
Yeah, that's super interesting. And so y'all have had your own kind of mining facilities prior to this. Is this actually something that you went out and added to what you're running to launch this? And can you speak to the geography of where this is all coming from? Obviously, you have the kind of set parameters there. Is it kind of speak to the geography and how that's kind of
So I mean, the mining farm is located in China. And it's ran by us. It's maintained by us. So if any issues come up, it's it's in house. In the past, we didn't really have. We had like a small amount of miners that we used to test and whatnot, but we didn't have mining operations. So this is, but we've been around mining operations. Was me and the executive team have been for many years, so we know how to do these things. But this is Poolin's first real, entrance into mining farms. Before Mars, we did have this thing that we were working on, that we're still working on, Poolin standardized mining, which is that you can buy a miner through our site and we set it up for you in our facilities. So a couple months before Mars came out, we already had a small, pretty large facility in which you could buy a miner and set it up. But then we went ahead and bought all these miners, the equivalent of 100 tokens, and then we sold it. So yeah.
Yeah, all super interesting. Thanks for the behind the scenes there. And
sure.
And as you did refer to kind of some of the trust that's needed, trust in Poolin, obviously, trust in kind of the Ethereum network, which, you know, we're Bitcoin podcast here, but that's definitely interesting to be kind of putting, you know, mechanically the way to do that is super interesting. And you know, you're also kind of touching on some of the difficulties of setting up physical mining for people these days. It's getting tougher to source good hardware. You know, basically we're talking about everything being sold out for the next 6 months.
Yeah, it's impossible. There's literally no mining machines on the market.
Can you remember a time when there's been this much of a demand supply?
Well, yeah, I can recall a couple of times. 2017, definitely.
2017?
The last year. Yeah, that was when there was absolutely no miners, and the cost of a miner, you know, would increase, you know, substantially. But another thing that I want to touch upon that I forgot to touch upon, which I think adds to these tokens, it's that like if you buy yourself, if you have these physical miners, it's very difficult. I mean, now everyone wants these miners, but you still have to find a buyer. You still have to do that. You have to send it. It takes time, takes effort. With these tokens, there's liquidity and very little amount of slippage. So there's 66 million trading volume in one day we had. And again, this is a 2 week and a half old, but the liquidity is there, so you can enter and exit mining, basically mining in a few seconds. So that's another added benefit, I believe.
Yeah, no, that's definitely a good point. You're not waiting months to start. It's immediate. And so you mentioned the trading. Where is this trading now? I think one of kind of Binance's selling points when they launched was, hey, we run the biggest exchange in the world. The liquidity is going to be there. Obviously, Mars has its own liquidity you referred to. So where's it trading and this volume? Like, where are you all in touch with any kind of the big folks trading this? Kind of what's the communication there?
Sure. So you can it's on Uniswap. It's also available on SushiSwap. And this is for Bitcoin heads. This is all like sounds like far out of there. And for me too. Like, trust me, I'm not that knowledgeable about Ethereum either. However, it's on Uniswap, and there's been some other exchanges have also added it. We're not in talks with Binance because Binance is our competitor. But yeah, it's been mostly organic growth in that sense, but we launched on Uniswap.
Yeah, cool. And to, I guess, touch on that, Binance is a competitor, to touch on that kind of topic, Binance launching a pool and kind of, the financial services around mining that they kind of are trying to bring to the table with some of their exchange services. Poolin is obviously doing the same things, but kind of via partnerships with BlockFi and others. Can you speak at all to how that kind of financial services for miners has evolved over the last few months, if it has? Obviously, this kind of token launch has been big in terms of getting the ability to essentially mine into the hands of retail and people around the world easily. Any developments on the side of financial services for miners from Poolin and your partners in the last few months?
Sure. So we have these guys at BlockFi, Three Arrows Capital. They're the professionals in this side of things, and providing financial and lending and borrowing through our partnership has been really, really fruitful. But I think one of the most forward-thinking things has been this token launch. So in essence, the growth of locating for miners across the globe is continuous. In the past, it's been very difficult for mining farms or mining operators to lock in more money, to find money to borrow, to expand their operations. But with Poolin, and you can easily just add some Bitcoin as collateral and grow your mining operation, which is revolutionary.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And so last thing on the token. So right now it's backed by a Poolin owned and run mining farm. You have these kind of transparent parameters around what the people are buying. What does that look like moving forward? So this is obviously a launch in the last 2 or 3 weeks. It's early days. Is this something where potentially in the future you have kind of trusted parties that are in your pool that in China or around the world, that they can kind of tokenize their hash rate too? Like, how do you see this moving forward, I guess?
That's a really good question. I think it could present a possibility. Right now we've the trust involved. It's very it's in the point. It's very much the point of the system. Like if and people trust Poolin. So for us, we would have to somehow come up with some sort of system in order to create trust if there is third party involved. If it's a big third party, like some public company that wants to do something like that, then I guess the trust is there, right? But yeah, I mean, there's no concrete plans to tokenize anyone else's hash rate. But if anyone listening here has a sort of idea, we're more than ears, because for us this is also new. So we're figuring it out as we move forward too, in terms of new partnerships and whatnot. So I think it presents another way in which mining operators can tokenize or can create a new revenue stream or hedge against any potential changes in the Bitcoin price or difficulty. So I think we're going to see a lot of really interesting basically I was going to say in Spanish creating hash rate finance is gonna take off. Really, it's really gonna take off.
Hash rate finance. There you go. Hey, we're coining the term hash rate finance here.
There we go. Hey, I like to coin terms.
There we go. Yeah, man. No, for sure, this is gonna be something to watch. I mean, 2 weeks in, and this level of volume around it is pretty amazing. Speaks to the the adoption speaks to kind of the need that it's solving. So let's get into that a little bit, actually. So you mentioned kind of, I don't know if it's a trend yet, but there have been some moves from pools to essentially say that they could be KYC pools, where they're only validating transactions from kind of approved parties. And when we say approved parties, that's essentially approved by the US government, right? So, Bitcoin is an open network. We'd like to see it stay open, censorship resistant. Any thoughts there on kind of what's happening in the US right now? And then I guess also kind of any initial thoughts that Poolin has about that as an entity, and if you could speak to that at all.
Yeah, of course. So I think I'm in full agreement with you. I think Bitcoin, it's about not being censored and the freedom of everyone using it. And if we start getting down, we start looking into what is illegal, what is not illegal in terms of the transaction that occurred 2 years ago. Is that output still illegal? Right? There's so much nuances, and we start going down that slippery slope. I'm not sure. I don't think it's a good choice, in my opinion. But in any case, if these pools would like to do that, that's their own prerogative, right? And it is in a sense innovative because it's never been seen before. I guess their argument is that they want to provide these mining pool operations for public companies that have a responsibility to to the SEC and to whatever governments it is that they're, I guess the US government, that the transactions are clean. Okay, makes I guess I can understand the big picture. I don't think it's a good choice. Like any other mining pool that's not following these rules will take the transaction and make more money, because in essence they're censoring themselves, which is a lot less, making less money. So every other pool that doesn't have to follow these rules or doesn't want to, is essentially going to be making more money than that pool. So we're gonna have to see how it plays out. I don't think it's a good thing personally as a Bitcoiner. I don't think it's a good thing at all, because we start going down about finding what it's what's a black censor transaction, what it's not, and then we're gonna start looking down the fungibility of Bitcoin. There's a lot of things that this is gonna lead towards, and I don't think it's a good thing. But at the end of the day, I don't think it's economically viable. So that's, I think, the most important thing to come out of this with. I think they're going to be losing too much money. There's too much money on the table that they're going to be leaving, which other pools will take without a doubt. So I don't think it's a long term. I don't think it's going to work.
I think those are great points. And why Bitcoin is so resilient. Kind of the competitive aspect of mining.
Yes.
Also, kind of on that somewhat topic, Foundry specifically. Any thoughts on? So they've announced that they're launching their own mining pool. Obviously, well capitalized and relationships with some of the hardware manufacturers that y'all have long-standing relationships with, and MicroBT. Any kind of thoughts on what they're doing? Have y'all had communication with kind of their leadership folks, just kind of getting in touch? What do you think about their kind of movement so far?
I think it's very interesting in terms of for us it's very good. It's very good for competition to be in the mining pool space, especially outside of China. They're going to bring a lot of new ideas into the game. So for us, it's fine. I've tried to reach out actually today to Foundry guys, because their mining pool just creeped up into the top 15 pools. I think they're number 13 or something like that. So I actually reached out to them in order to find out what their thoughts were on Taproot Activation, because we haven't got an answer yet from there. So I've reached out to them. I know who they are, and we're happy. We're not. It's great.
For sure. Competition.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. And well, we need to get them up. We need to get them up on taprootactivation.com. Goodness, they're lagging already.
Yeah.
So call out here. Well, good stuff there. Thanks for the thoughts. What was the other thing we're going to touch on here? One other thing that's been in the news in a big way, a long-standing kind of internal power struggle at Bitmain. You actually had kind of a front row seat to that at btc.com, where you were a co-founder. You're acquired essentially by Bitmain, and then ran btc.com. Any thoughts on kind of how that has shaken out in the last week, and kind of moving forward? What do you think about the two separate entities that are going to be operating there, with Jihan in charge of one and Micri in charge of the other?
Yeah, so it's been a long time coming, and finally, I think I should say finally, that's the right word for this. It's done. I'm sure Jihan and Micri are very happy, they're very happy to have this chapter closed. It's essentially Jihan is now out. He has no more say in the manufacturing side of things, in the AMP pool. He also was given 600 million, I believe, USD for his shares. So he doesn't have any shares in Bitmain, although he does have a seat in the board, or two. Well, I'm not too sure. Or he has one, and he can appoint someone else, something along those lines. But in essence, it's Micri running the show at Bitmain, the traditional Bitmain. Jihan maintains BitDeer, Matrix, BTC.com. So I think what we're gonna see is actually IPO soon from Bitmain. I think Micri has a certain responsibility to a lot of the investors that got into seed rounds and round A and B, whatever. So I think we're going to see a Bitmain IPO. Maybe not 2021, but 2022, early 2022, maybe late 2021. We're going to see at least the beginnings of an IPO from Bitmain. So that's something to look at. Yeah.
I mean, you're definitely right there. I think it was a 5-year timeline they put on themselves when they raised their last funding round to IPO, or some pretty negative consequences for McCree. So you mentioned some of the pieces of Bitmain that Jihan is kind of taking with them. Without that manufacturing business, which 90% or so of the business, kind of the core business bread and butter, how would you feel about kind of the Matrix, the Bitdeer, the BTC.com stepping away from the mothership there? Are they still viable businesses? Does Jihan move into the manufacturing side again in the future? I don't know if there's a non-compete aspect of the breakout, but how do you kind of view that business as separate from Bitmain? You used to be at BTC.com, obviously, so you know those folks pretty well.
Yeah, I know all the guys down there. I'm not too sure. I'm not too sure. If I was Jihan, I would probably move on from manufacturing, because I'm sure he's had a lot of headaches because of it. I don't think. I mean, Jihan is not a McCree is the chip designer, right? So I don't think his Jihan's strengths lay in manufacturing or chip design. However, he's a pretty good businessman. I mean, he's had some. Everyone's done some bad choices, I guess, with BCH. But he's a pretty good businessman. So it's really up to the team. It's really up to the team at. I mean, and the guys at BTC.com and Matrix and Bitdeer are smart guys too. So I wouldn't underestimate Jihan and his crew. That's for sure.
I would tend to agree with you there. Yeah.
Yeah. I think there's going to be, how viable is the business pool, the mining pool, BTC.com? Like, I mean, they still hold a lot of a hash rate. Not too sure what size there are, but and the mining pool business has become less and less powerful over the years. So we might see some sort of integration between the mining pool business and Matrix, which is like a sort of DeFi thing. I don't know. Who knows? I mean, all the parts are there for some sort of thing to occur. I'm just speculating here. Bitdeer is a cloud mining, so there's a lot of things that can be done. I don't know what's going to happen, but I think McCree maintaining the manufacturing is good for the Bitmain business in terms of the mining machines. So we'll see. Jihan's been tweeting a lot the last couple of days, so it seems like he's happy.
Yeah. I mean, I think you're right that everyone's glad to kind of close the chapter out there. And I think Jihan is keeping some of their overseas Bitcoin mining operations as well, which is
right. Note. Norway and a few others, right.
Yeah, US, I believe too, North America.
Yeah.
So definitely something to watch. Despite the BCH kind of decision, I wouldn't underestimate Jihan and the folks at any of those companies either. No. Well, I think that kind of covers the recent events that you have really an inside eye on too. So, anything else? Anything else?
No, nothing. That was good stuff. I think the mining world is moving at a tremendous pace now. It's very interesting. Anyone listening who's trying to get into this crypto business, I would recommend you looking into the mining side of things. There's a lot of opportunities here.
Yeah. Hey, great point. And to reach out to you, how can they find you for potential opportunities?
Oh yeah. Well, you can find me mainly on Twitter, BitEntrepreneur. That's where you can find me, or Poolin.com. You'll find all the details of the whole team there if you want to reach out.
Perfect. All right, Alejandro, thanks for joining. Always good to talk. Best hair in Bitcoin, and occasional Spanish.
Yeah, claro que sí.
All right, man, take it easy.
Thanks a lot for your time, and thanks to Bitcoin Magazine, and thank you, John.